Don't let your dreams just be dreams. Just do it! That's pretty much what I got from this episode. It was actually really enthralling. It was 45 minutes long, and most of the runtime was just dialogue. And it was still really amazing. I was completely sucked in. I would be very happy if they continue doing 45 minutes per episode, but I imagine they're going to drop it down to 24 minutes like normal in the next one. I just feel like this was the best anime for Studio Deen to do, because they didn't have to animate too much. I mean, the other Deen anime that's come out this season, Reikan-zan, is just full of quality, but this one, it's goddamn well gorgeous. I mean, all they had to focus on was the backgrounds. The characters don't necessarily move around too much, but goddamn, they got the facial expressions on point. So first off, I'll actually do this one properly and do like a story synopsis before I get into everything else. Because, you know, it's nice to be professional sometimes. So there's this thing in Japan called Rakugo, which is all about a lone storyteller sitting on a pillow in front of everyone with just a fan and a cloth, telling a story as multiple characters, changing his voice for the different characters and doing different actions for the different characters. Basically, an old school radio host. Well, not really even a radio host because people watch you. Basically like sitting in front of a campfire telling a campfire story, but much more professionally. And so this guy Yotarou, while he was in jail for a crime, happened to see this super awesome best Rakugoka around, apparently Yakumo, who came in and told the story of the Shinigami. Which was a very comical one to Yotarou, because it was all about a good-for-nothing being tricked by a Shinigami into thinking he was getting all that he wanted when really the Shinigami was taking his soul. And Yotarou found that very funny in a prison where everybody was a good-for-nothing. So Yotarou went to Yakumo, spent all of his money buying a suit, getting a haircut, making himself look professional, and straight up dogezaed right in the snow in front of him and said he wanted to be his student. And now Yakumo, being the professional old man he was, had never actually taken any students, but instantly found a liking to this kid, brought him in under his wing, and that's where the story begins. So this first episode was like its own little arc, introducing Yotarou and getting through his first bit of the story. We met Yotarou, he met Konatsu, who was the daughter of another Rakugoka that Yakumo used to live with, Sukeroku. And Konatsu, while kind of liking Yakumo and having been raised by him, has some suspicions that her father's death wasn't 100% natural, and completely prefers her father's Rakugo to Yakumo's. So she will quite often snap at him. Yakumo will snap back at her. Yotarou just kind of tries to stay in the middle. I mean, Konatsu is in the middle of her own little story as well. She would love to be a Rakugoka. She's constantly studying her father's Rakugo. But she does not have the chance. Because women were not allowed to be Rakugoka. I'm not sure if that's changed by now or if that's still the same kind of thing. But definitely at the time period when this is set, Rakugoka couldn't be women. And so Konatsu is just basically screwed. Everyone around her is just constantly telling her, you know, just be a woman. Just use your body. Find a husband. That kind of thing. And we actually find out that her mother was actually a geisha as well. So yeah, not a particularly good situation for her. But I mean, yeah, this is Yotarou's story. Yotarou goes throughout this thing trying to master Yakumo's Rakugo. And it doesn't quite work out. Like, Yotarou is this jokey kind of person. He's a street thug who's trying to change his life around, but he's just a jokey kid. He could probably talk his way out of just about anything. It's probably the only reason he was able to get in under Yakumo's tutelage. And so the serious and old school style that Yakumo has just does not work for him, and he realizes that after a while. So Konatsu starts to teach him about her father Sukeroku's technique. And Yotarou starts to really, really like that. And obviously, as you'd imagine, that starts to piss off Yakumo. To be fair, Yakumo has his own problems. He hasn't been teaching Yotarou. He hasn't actually been guiding him at all. He's just been saying to Yotarou, just follow me around, do what I tell you to do. I'm not going to teach you anything, you're just going to do that. And that's what Yotarou's been up to. He did have his own chance to perform. At one point, he performed in front of like 6 people. And he got like a suite out of it. And then at one point, he had like an opening night where he actually got to make some people laugh. And that was his big story. Because he'd constantly been practicing this story about a thief, which he wanted to do because his Aniki, the criminal that he used to work with, reminded him of this guy from the story so much. And wouldn't you know it, his Aniki shows up on the door one day and says, Yotarou, we need you back in the gang. We need you to go to jail one more time for us. Oh, which is just horrible. The poor dude. Yotarou is very conflicted over the whole thing, but just keeps telling his Aniki, no, I want to do Rakugo. And this is the point where Yakumo really steps up, because Yakumo hears them arguing, hears Yotarou having the piss taken out of him, and just steps up to the Aniki and just dismisses him. Tells Yotarou go practice and shuts the Aniki down. Tells him, you'll come into the performance and then you'll see. So it was an amazing little moment. The Aniki stuck around, listened to the performance, and was laughing his ass off at Yotarou's performance. And this was the thing. It was a very feel-good moment right there, when Yotarou was on stage, having his little jokey moments. And this was the Rakugo performance that I liked the most, because it had so much comedy in it. The Seiyu did a really good job of acting like a bumbling idiot, which worked towards Yotarou's personality so well as well. And the audience just all loved it, clapped their asses off. Yakumo was happy with it. Konatsu was just amazed and just happy that he actually got through it and remembered all the lines. So I'm not going to spoil the story any further than that. That's about halfway through this first episode. Keeping in mind it's 40 minutes, so that would really be about the first episode. But the story continues with Yotarou trying to figure out what he wants to do with his future, if he wants to continue Rakugo, if he has the ability to do it, and if he can continue studying under Yakumo. And I'm just going to say the story is really good, it's really uplifting, and it also has so many hints, so many more interesting things to come. As we have Yakumo with all his dark secrets from the past, he's continuously seeing Sukeroku's ghost around him, clinging on to him, clinging on to his daughter Konatsu, following him in the carriage. So clearly Yakumo feels guilty about something, and I'm not sure if it is that he actually did have something to do with his death, which is not very likely in my opinion. Or more likely, he mentions that there's a promise that him and Sukeroku had about Rakugo, and that he wasn't able to fulfill that with Sukeretsu, and that Yotarou is going to fill the place in his heart and they're going to fulfill it together. So I'm thinking that might be why Sukeroku's ghost is sticking around and following Yakumo. Not sure, but that's what I'd guess. And it looks like the next bunch of episodes are just going to be about Yakumo and Sukeroku in their past, their childhood, growing up, the promise they made, the woman that one of them fell in love with, maybe both of them. Because I am starting to have suspicions. The whole idea about Yakumo and Sukeroku being together the whole time, going to the red light district together, Konatsu's mother being a geisha, I'm wondering if Konatsu isn't actually Yakumo's daughter. But I mean, that probably is way off base, because Yotarou himself, while looking at a picture of Sukeroku, even says to Konatsu, she looks a lot like her father. So chances are that's wrong. It's just I thought that would be cool and very drama-filled. But it probably is completely wrong. Either way, this story really sucks you in. Like I said, the whole 45 minutes I was into it. The Seiyu are on point. My favourite female Seiyu is in it as the main female lead, Kobayashi Yu. Oh, she's so good. She's got that deep, sexy voice that I love so much. And so yeah, if you want an uplifting story about following your dreams and all that kind of jazz, go for this one. It's really well done. I like the artwork. The backgrounds are done beautifully. When they do an actual Rakugo piece, they do it really well. They make it quite dramatic. They have just little effects that go on while the storytelling is happening to make it a little more exciting. And I won't spoil it, but there is one point near the end that really shocked me with how serious it got. I was so worried that exactly what happened was gonna happen, and I freaked out like a bitch when it did happen. Oh, it was so good. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the next episode of this one. Hoping it's another 45-minute episode, but I doubt it. Let me know what you guys thought in the comment section below. If you like this review, wreck that like button like you mean it. Subscribe if you haven't already to see more. And I will see you guys next time.